All eyes on you.
Today we post our 365th day of verses and videos. Tomorrow Swordbox turns 1 year old. Thanks to all of you who have continued to prayerfully support Swordbox Ministries. Mickey continues with Joseph, and today Joseph is ready to get out of his situation. A request is made to someone who has the king's ear. Our verse for today is Hebrews 10:23. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful.
You are the light. Through you all things were made.
So we've been talking about Joseph, and yesterday we talked about the dreams that the butler had. You know, God had given Joseph the ability to interpret dreams, and he was always careful to give God the glory. You know, after Joseph told the chief butler the interpretation of his dream, Joseph said this to him in Genesis 40:14 and 15. But please remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that they should put me in this dungeon. You know, by now Joseph was probably approximately 28 years old. He had spent 11 years as a slave and in prison, and he wanted out. Joseph wasn't complaining. He was telling his story and pleading his cause and his case to someone who could actually be in a position to help him. Complaining to others around us looking for pity or sympathy isn't really going to do us any good at all. Bringing your cares to God and then sharing with those who God brings in your path that could actually help is the right way to deal with our problems. Meanwhile, always being careful to obey God and serve others right where we are. Who has God put in your life? Are you loving them and serving them? Are you using all of your gifts and your talents and your influence and your opportunities to be a blessing to those around you? And are you looking for opportunities to move forward in life as God leads you? Joseph was stuck in a dungeon, yet he worked hard. He oversaw the other prisoners. He served them. He took care of their needs. He made the best of the situation he was in. Obviously, just based on what he was saying, not where he wanted to be. 3 days later, as foretold by Joseph, each of the two men's dreams came to pass. Pharaoh had the chief butler hung and chief baker hung and restored the chief butler to his butlership. In Genesis 40:23 it says, Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Man, you know, Joseph must have been disappointed. I mean, I would be. He probably awoke each morning hoping to hear news of his release. Certainly the chief butler hadn't forgotten Joseph, right? I mean, all he had to do was just put in a good word for him. After all, Joseph had interpreted his dream for him. Pharaoh had complete authority to set Joseph free, but day after day after day, nothing. Nothing happened. So what do? When you pray, you serve, you obey, you pray some more, and still nothing. Well, you keep praying, you keep serving, you keep obeying, and you keep the faith. Hebrews 10:23 says, Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. God had given Joseph 2 dreams when he was a young boy, and just like the butler and the baker, Joseph's dreams were real. They were prophetic. And while in the dungeon, forgotten, the lowest part of society, Joseph still had his dream from God. And what God promises, God does. 2 Corinthians 1:20, For all the promises of God in him are yes, and in him amen, to the glory of God through us. You know, Joseph, you must be doing something wrong. A good God wouldn't allow an innocent man to be rotting in a dungeon. This makes no sense. Can you hear that in Joseph's mind? You know, sometimes when we're going through storms, we seem to get over the hill just to discover that there's more storms on the other side. You got to ask yourself a question. Are you trusting in what you want God to do for you, or are you just trusting God? Trusting him to do what he wants, his way, and in his time, knowing with complete assurance that he who has promised is faithful. God bless you. I hope you tune in tomorrow. It's our 1 year anniversary